Hi, guys. Happy Monday. It's good to see you guys again after a break last week when I was traveling. So, if you're hopping on, definitely say hi and let StreamYard know that you're available so that we can chat with each other and I can see your comments. And definitely tell me who you are, tell me where you're from. Today, the topic is something that I hear from you guys a lot. We're going to focus on stress, how it affects our gut, and how the gut and inflammation are connected. So, if you're catching this later, I want you to hashtag replay so I can see that you came and I can chat with you. Um, let's talk about stress for a minute. Okay. I think most people are aware that stress isn't really great for our health. But I'm always surprised, and I say this a lot. I talk with you guys, I talk with clients all the time, and I'm surprised at how much we underestimate how much stress can affect our overall health. And it can really take a toll on our bodies, on our system. So the more stressed we are, the more stressed out we are, it absolutely will affect how our body reacts to things and especially foods. So if you're someone that struggles with like digestion, just let me know. Put me in the comments, and we can definitely chat about that. Have any questions for me as I'm talking? Definitely, I'll keep a watch on the comments as well. So I want to talk about stress because there are two different types of stress. A lot of times I'll be talking with clients and they'll be like, "Well, I don't feel stressed." Okay, so there's two types of stress here that we have. That's the acute and the chronic stress. So, acute is like where you're driving down the road and you almost get hit by a car and you're like, oh my God, oh my God. So, that's that acute type of stress where you're like running away from a tiger, you almost got hit by a car. And then there's the more chronic type of stress. And I think this is the type of stress that most of us deal with day in, day out. I'll have clients tell me, well, I don't really feel stressed. That's because your body has adapted to living with this chronic state of stress every day. And over time, that starts to affect us in our bodies and our health. So, chronic stress, a good example of that would be like the deadlines, the work environment. What situation are you in at work? Are you dealing with a lot of deadlines, a lot of pressure every day? Could be arguments, maybe continuing arguments you have with family or a partner. So this type of everyday stress that we don't really realize is causing and creating more issues with our gut and with our health. If this is you, if you feel like you have some of this chronic stress, just put stress in the comments. Um, let's chat for a little bit about the gut and the gut microbiome and how that plays a role in inflammation. So, how does this all connect together? So, let's start with just the simple foundation of how they're connected. So, you've probably heard that like 70% of our immune system lies in our gut. And that is true. And inflammation is also in our gut. It's part of our immune system. A little bit of inflammation isn't a bad thing. Our body needs a little bit of inflammation. So, what happens is you have inflammation and then you have the gut sharing the same space together. They're kind of co living, they're coexisting. So, we have billions of different types of bacteria in our gut. And there are several different ways that this gut bacteria can influence inflammation. So I'm going to get very basic with you guys so you can kind of picture what's going on in your body. The gut, it's actually like if you were to picture a water hose, and the water hose starts here, that's your mouth, and it ends here. Okay? So your gut is essentially like a tube, just like a water hose. It's a critical barrier for what comes in, and then you have what comes out. So just like your skin is a critical barrier, so is your gut. It's protecting you from the outside world. So I hope this helps you picture it, because sometimes we can't really see our gut, so we don't know what's going on. But if we picture it like a water hose and we put things from the outside world into our body, that's our body system, our organs and things like that, bloodstream, all of what's going on inside of our body, it sees this tube and what's going into the tube as like the outside. It's like an invader, okay? It's like it's so it's got to this tube has to protect whatever's inside of it from going outside into the bloodstream and getting into our system, our body system. So, our organs, let's talk about that for a little bit too, because we have organs in there, and the organs are actually competing for survival. So, we have this like by having a healthy gut bacteria, that's like a community of bacteria in our gut, just kind of hanging out. Just think of it as a big community. They're all hanging out together. And then you've got the not so healthy bacteria in your gut that might be coming in from foods or something like that. Exposure. So you've got the healthy and the not so healthy kind of battling it out, if you will, in the gut. This is what happens. So they're naturally going to compete. You got the good guys, you got the not so good guys. And they're kind of battling for space. They're battling for food and resources. So this is all kind of like happening inside of this tube that goes from your mouth and then goes out through your anus. So, so your gut bacteria, they're living. There's all kinds of bacteria living in there, and they're metabolizing and they're munching on whatever it is you just had for lunch or for dinner. So you eat your food, and it's like food for these guys, the good and the bad bacteria. They're munching on your leftovers so that they can thrive. So what happens is when this happens, the bacteria make these things called short-chain fatty acids. So I just want you to think of these short-chain fatty acids as little things that help feed the gut. So there's also a lot of interaction between these little short-chain fatty acids that are feeding your gut, that are coming from the food when it breaks down, and your immune system. So I'm trying to make this as basic as possible. You guys, if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Keep a watch out in the comments. So you feed the gut. And if you guys are joining me, I'm glad you're here and you're catching all this gut stuff. So you feed the gut bacteria that comes from the food that helps it thrive. It creates short chain fatty acids, and it helps your immune system actually know, okay, I need to work or I need to take a chill pill. So more oftentimes than not, we need to take a chill pill, and our body and our immune system kind of creates this tolerance. So reacting to things that it should respond to and not reacting to things that really aren't that big of a deal. So the difference, you guys, between our body using inflammation properly, remember I said inflammation is a good thing, like when we work out to build muscle, we get a little inflammation, and our body uses that inflammation to repair itself and build muscle. Okay, so that's using inflammation appropriately versus your body getting into this like chronic response. So there's a difference between action and rest. Take a chill pill. And what we eat and what we consume through our food actually does make a difference. So I'm going to get a little nerdy here with you guys because I love talking about the gut. So, I was talking about the gut bacteria and how it kind of munches on your leftovers. Let's chat about what happens when there aren't anything good for your little bacteria to munch on. So if it's not provided things that are like really like that it wants to munch on to help it to thrive, you might have trouble building up a resilience to immunity. So I hope I explained that. What your body wants to thrive on is fiber. And it really comes down, I'm going to make it really simple for you guys and not complicate things. So the idea of getting more variety, more plant foods into your diet, the more variety you eat, which I'm always talking about in this group, how variety is so important, the more you're going to get all sorts of types of fibers that your body likes, these bacteria like to munch on. So like non-digestible fibers, these are your prebiotic fibers. Prebiotic and probiotic are two different things. Probiotics are the bacteria living in your gut, and prebiotics are the non-digestible fibers. They're like the food that you're giving the gut, and you're giving the probiotics in your gut to get them to thrive. They need the things to munch on. So they need non-digestible carbs so that the bacteria can ferment. When we eat non-digestible carbs, when we eat prebiotic foods, they ferment in our gut and they create these short chain fatty acids that are like candy for the good guys in our gut. So when we don't have enough of these types of foods and we don't have a thriving environment for our gut bacteria, what happens is we get more of the not so good. The not so good guys take over. And so this is the kind of thing that we don't want, because then we see our immune system start to struggle. So that's when we start to see things like more inflammation, and we start to see symptoms come out, and things that our body starts to like diagnosis. We start to see chronic conditions, fibromyalgia, all kinds of autoimmune disorders, things like that. So why we're seeing this? Because it absolutely does make sense that if we put things into our body that will help the gut bacteria thrive, it will help our body fight off things. But if we don't, then we start to get like a thinning of that barrier, that tube, basically your GI system. That barrier to the outside world starts to get thinner when it's not getting fed. Just like think about you starving yourself, you start to get thinner. So that's what's happening. This it's just shaving, like the bacteria doesn't have anything to feed on. It can't survive. The bad guys start to take over. So there's a lot of misinformation out there about gut barrier dysfunction, leaky gut, if you've ever heard of that. Some people might say leaky gut is all hype, but it absolutely is not. And I'm going to get nerdy with you guys for a second and explain some more things. The gut is not like Swiss cheese. Okay, it doesn't have like holes in it. When I say leaky gut, when you hear leaky gut, that's not what's going on. It's not like you can patch it up. with a patch kit. In fact, the answer for you on that is probably the least sexy thing I could say. I'm going to say something very moderate, very dietitian-y, and that's probably not what you want to hear in the wellness world. I hear it all the time. I'm just going to say it. Not everyone has leaky gut, and not every chronic condition is caused by leaky gut or gut barrier dysfunction. So at the same time, it's real, you guys, and it is. It is very well documented in literature. I actually authored a book on gut health in 2016, and I did all of this research when we were just learning about so much back in 2015, 2014, 2015. And there's something called zonulin. I'm gonna get slightly nerdy with you guys here. Zonulin's a little protein that comes from gluten. Okay, so zonulin's like a tiny molecule that it kind of seems to unzip or zip our gut cells whenever someone with celiac eats gluten, for example. They have an intolerance to this zonulin. It's like it unzips the lining of the gut. And basically, it's interesting. So if you don't have celiac disease, it's not like zonulin's going to just unzip your gut and you're going to all of a sudden start having all of these problems. But let's go back and talk about nutrition for a minute, or nourishment, or things that we could do to make things maybe worse for our gut. And I'm going to say this because I know alcohol is a big issue for this. And if like you kind of look back and think, well, yeah, I probably, maybe it's not over consumption. Maybe it's like over time, maybe every day, regularly having a glass or two of wine every single day. Well, that adds up. And so maybe, at least temporarily, if you're someone that has a glass of wine or two every day, then temporarily taking a break from it and seeing how your gut feels would be an option, something you can do. So if you have a generally healthy body, generally healthy gut, and you're not consuming much alcohol, then no worries. But I think going back to this idea that the body, it is designed to generally to heal itself if we give it the tools. So with chronic illness, I've seen this. I've seen us demonize so many things. Sugar, you guys. I've heard this a lot. That you can't eat ice cream. It has sugar in it. That's inflammatory. And no. Like, what you do day in and day out is what matters most. Not what you do randomly one day because you were hot and you were craving something sweet and you wanted ice cream. Don't beat yourself up about that. That's not it. If you're doing things that are truly nourishing your body, and you're treating your body with care, your body is strong enough to handle the blips. Like I'm going to have some ice cream. It's honestly no big deal. So in terms of leaky gut or gut barrier dysfunction, we do know the biggies. So if you came to me and you were like, Wendy, we sat down and you were like, I'm having a lot of issues with digestion. I'm having a lot of loose stools after I eat, a lot of stomach problems. We would sit there and we would address some of the bigger things that usually affect how our body digests food. And alcohol is one of them. A diet that's highly saturated fat. So we look at like your fats and see, do you have a high amount of saturated fats that could be triggering or causing some of these GI issues. Could be causing increased leakiness of your gut. Or are you just generally not getting in enough fiber? So generally that is the case. So it's getting back to those beautiful basics and adding more variety back into your diet. If I could make a suggestion to you today, is to go back and think about any plants that you've eaten today. Now, for me here, it's lunchtime. Sometimes I don't get to eat before these lives on Mondays. I ate today, and I can truly say that for breakfast, I did not have any sort of plants. For lunch, I had a quesadilla and I had beans and cheese, but I went and added roasted red pepper and spinach. So whenever I can, I try to add more back into my diet. So try to add more plants, to add more fiber, to increase that variety, to give my gut something to munch on besides just cheese. I want to give it enough of a variety that there's a balance in the good and the bad so that they can kind of live happily together inside that tube of my gut. So when you start to put these things together, it kind of starts to make sense. Your body you will start to see some decreases in inflammation. Your body will feel nourished. Your gut will become happier. So how we feed our bodies, and as intuitive eaters, this is a little advanced. This is advanced stage where we start to learn more about gentle nutrition. And this absolutely is gentle nutrition. If you have issues or challenges with your gut, with digestion, we can absolutely work through these things and through this process of intuitive eating. You certainly can do both. So what I guess how I want to kind of wrap this all up for you guys is that it always comes back to our overall health, our overall well-being. It always comes down to a choice. As far as food with your gut, if you're sitting here saying, well, what should I do? Don't overcomplicate it. I want you to think about fiber, 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 fiber. It's all about getting back to the basics. Don't overcomplicate it. Science and information about gut bacteria and inflammation, they already put a spotlight on what we know to be true, okay? About nourishing our bodies, about our health. But so many of you guys come to me and you're so confused about what you should eat, and you just end up in the pipeline kind of bouncing from practitioner to practitioner. Maybe you're getting diagnosed, maybe you're getting tested, maybe you've got all these like food sensitivity testings, maybe you're just not clear on what is going on and you just don't feel your best and you don't know what to do. If this is you, put me in the comments. Maybe you've encountered a practitioner, somebody that says that this is your diagnosis and this is just how you're going to feel the rest of your life. And you guys, if that's the case, I want you to hear me right now when I say nutrition is so very powerful. So if you're struggling with like gas, getting gassy, maybe acid reflux, maybe loose stools after meals, I realize that this stuff can lead to fear around food, around going out, around eating. And I get it. And I understand, especially if you've been from practitioner to practitioner to practitioner, I understand how you can feel like food is the problem here. But trust me when I say that cutting out this and cutting out this and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting is not the answer. it's not going to bring you the true healing that you want for your digestion and for your health when you continue to cut, and the amount of types of foods that you eat becomes so small. There's no way that your body can even possibly heal itself or have the nutrients that it needs to fight anything. So what happens is with each food or food group that you cut out, it's just going to get weaker and weaker instead of better and better. So put gut in the comments if this is you, because I would love to chat with you about this, answer all your questions. This is why I focus more on adding in rather than taking away with my clients. So it's about getting back to the basics, first of all, and not, getting tunnel vision, just get back to the basics and liberalizing, adding more. So that's what food freedom is really about. This is your food liberation journey. So when I say that to people sometimes, and you might be one of them, you're sitting there listening to me and you're like, what? There is a deep, deep connection as well between your nervous system and your gut. So if you fear eating certain foods because they're going to do certain things to your body, the nervous system consequences that you have because of the fear around certain foods or the fear around eating situations can make you feel really unwell. So when your body is well nourished, it's resilient and it's going to heal better than when it's restricted. We're going to expand upon this tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow night, we have a free workshop and we're going to talk about cortisol and stress. If you have not signed up or registered for that workshop, it's at 7 p.m. So we're going to go deeper into this. If you miss this, what we chatted about today, definitely go back and watch it. We talk about like the gut inflammation. Tomorrow, we're going to expand upon that and talk about stress and cortisol levels and how to support your adrenal system so that you can become more resilient. And then we're going to expand upon that even further on Wednesday night. We have our monthly workshop with the Food Confidence Club, where I'm going to give you we're going to break down steps and strategies to that you can incorporate into your life so that you can become more resilient to stress and start working on healing this digestive system. So if you are not in the Food Confidence Club and you want more information, just put member down below in the comments and I'll follow up with you. So this is a big week. We have our free workshop tomorrow night. If you need to register for that, send me a message, put workshop in the comments. And if you're not a member and you want more information, put member in the comments because we will have our monthly workshop on Wednesday night. All right. Thanks, guys.